Hey guys, my brand new book's coming out for BiggerPockets.com called Raising Private Capital. It releases on July 26th, but you can pre-order it now at the link below. Check it out.
What are the best plumbing solutions for multifamily property? What is happening, YouTube? Thank you for watching Mentorship Monday. Today's question comes from Jamie. Jamie's calling from upstate New York, and he's got himself a multi that he's looking at. It looks like a 20-unit building. Two different questions here. I'll answer the first one first, and the second one we're going to do a little something different. He's got a big building, again, not big, it's 20 units, but it's got one big boiler that heats all the hot water for the radiators in the property, and it's a steam boiler, meaning it heats the water up into steam, get it above 212 degrees and under high pressure, and it pumps it out to the radiators in the property. It's a one-way system, meaning the steam goes out into the radiators in the property, and then as it cools down, it contracts back down to the furnace and sits there, and then the boiler heats it up again, and everything expands out. You've got these little breather valves on the furnace, on the radiators inside the units. By the way, the way that you know if you've got a steam system is if you see a pipe going into the radiator and nothing coming out, because that means that's your hot air, your hot steam coming in, and there'll be a little vent on one side, and that little vent just takes the air that's in the system and lets it vent out. Okay, and you can kind of sort of control the temperature in the room by controlling how quickly that vent lets the air out of the system. Okay, steam can be nasty. It's dirty. Some of that steam escapes into the unit, so it can cause a lot of dampness and moisture in the unit. Not something that's used very often. It's an older system. The other way to heat an apartment using hot liquid, the hot water, is a closed loop hot water system where the water gets heated. It's hot. This is hot water. Hot water gets heated and it goes up into the units, and then as it cools down, it flows back down to the boiler, gets heated up, and then it's constantly circulating around to the units. What is good about hot water closed loop systems is that it's closed and it doesn't vent into the unit. In that radiator, just like a steam system, sits there and holds the hot water and radiates hotness into the apartment. So not to get into, we can talk about forced air systems and other different ways that you can heat. If you can't tell, I have a background in thermodynamics and engineering, so this is kind of fun throwback talk for me, back to my old days when I was when I sold this kind of stuff. So it was it's interesting. But your question, Jamie, is not about how these things work. Your question is, can you convert it to hot water? I've heard people talk about it, but I think that's a big undertaking. You have to run those return pipes all the way back down to your boiler, and then you have to replace the boiler too. So you bring up another idea here, and that's to drop electric baseboard into the apartments and then just slowly peel off the boiler. You can add electric baseboard to apartments as you go and start to remove those steam radiators from the apartments, and then just slowly matriculate them off of the system, right? You said that the tenants pay their own electricity. The only thing you got to be careful of is what is the tenant's breaker rating, because if the tenant only has like a 40 amp breaker, you're not going to have enough electricity to heat the apartment with a electric baseboard. You're probably going to need to have at least 100 amps to heat that apartment properly. So that's the pluses and minuses of it. They make pretty efficient electric baseboard systems. If you go super cheap, then it's going to jack up the tenant's electric bill really high, and they're going to move out. Because they won't be able to handle the heating expense. They make them that are nicer, they're a little more expensive, where the electric element actually heats a little bit of liquid, like a thermal mass of liquid, and that thermal mass radiates the heat into the unit instead of just the old school copper wire stuff. The old school copper wire ones are the most affordable ones, but those are the ones that will cost the tenant the most money to operate. You could be talking, for a reasonable size apartment, electric bills in the wintertime of $300, $400. You can also look at a heat pump, by the way, but in upstate New York, a heat pump's not going to work. In the southern parts of the U.S., heat pumps do make sense. The other question here was, have you ever seen a hot water heaters plumbed in series? Now, I'm going to go and jump onto my whiteboard because I know what you're talking about, but I want to make sure everybody else knows what plumbed in series means, and we're going to talk about why that's something you should look out for, okay? So I'm turning the camera right now, and there's my whiteboard. This is a brand new thing. I just put this whiteboard in my brand new office that we just moved to, so I can do whiteboard stuff with you guys. So ask stuff, and we'll do more whiteboarding, okay? So here's what series looks like. This is your cold water coming in, cold water coming in from outside from the city or from a well or whatever. And series looks like it goes into one hot water heater, gets hot, and it comes out hot, and then it would go into the next thing, get hot again, come out here, get hot again. This does not make sense. There's no way that if you see a real system plumbed like this for hot water heaters, would it be something truly effective? Because this would have to, the way you'd have to do it is like this. Let's say the water comes in at like 60 degrees, okay? It would have to get taken up to like 75 degrees here coming out, and then 85 degrees, and then maybe 95 degrees, and then maybe 105 coming out on that side, right? That's not you. There's too much balancing of the thermocouples and things like that to make this system work. I don't think that if you do see this, then I think that that it's probably not working very well, and you probably are going to end up having one of these things go bad and causing rust and stuff like that going out into your system. And it's just, and if one of these things dies, you're probably going to have to replace all of them. A lot of reasons why I don't like this. You can't just turn a few of them off to save energy or anything like that. The other way to do it is by plumbing them in parallel. Now, obviously, the best way to do it is to have each of their tenant have a hot water heater in their own name. But here's what parallel looks like, okay? Parallel looks like this, where you've got your cold water coming in here, and then there's a manifold that comes across that goes in. This is more plumbing work. You got to do more plumbing work to install it to work like this, and you put a valve, and you put a bypass around each unit so you can go around it if you want, and everything like that. But each of these hot water heaters, right? Okay, each of these hot water heaters, your manifold on this side, is set to produce the same output temperature. You set them all at the same time. You could even stage them a little bit. Actually, I don't know if you want to do that as I think about it. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You could set them all at the same temperature. Okay, so let's say they're all set to produce 105, 105, 105, 105 across the board, right? So they're all working in unison to keep your water hot. Now, if you find, you could test this out to see, like, well, what happens if I take this one out? If this one died, or if that one died, maybe I could just run the system on these three. If you can maintain that temperature on this side by just running the system on 4 or 3, then you can take one out. You can maybe try taking another one out. You can also try balancing the thermocouples, as I was saying. Maybe that's something. I have to think about the numbers a little more and think about how to make these things don't fight each other. But this is the only way that you want to plumb hot water heaters. Never see them in series. If you go into a basement and you see hot water heaters where one is plumbing into the next, it's plumbing into the next, it's plumbing into the next, you've got a system that's going to fail eventually. It's not the correct way to do it. You want to see this, where you've got a manifold, and valves coming in and out. I hope this makes sense. If any of you guys have any suggestions on how you can set the thermocouples on these things, here's what I want to do. This is an idea, so I'm thinking this out loud. So if you've got a way to where if there's low demand, just this machine runs, and if as demand kicks up, the next one kicks on, and the next one kicks on. So kind of like it's called a cascading system, right? So if you guys can think of a way that you can take a bank of hot water heaters and cascade them, flowing one down to the other. If I had a little more time here on YouTube, I could talk it out. I need another engineering brain to help me figure this thing. There's a way to figure it with the set points, the high point and the low point on the thermocouple. But it's not coming to me just yet. If you guys have ideas, leave it in the comment section. I'd love to. My old engineering brain would just geek out talking about this kind of stuff with you guys. But that series versus apparel was like a 2-for-1 because my buddy Jamie asked a good engineering question here on hot water heaters. So I decided, you know what? Let's go and use my handy dandy nice little whiteboard that we just got, and I can show it off to you guys. So that's what I got, Jamie. Good luck on your 20 unit, and good luck on maybe converting those units over to electric. I think that's probably the way that I would go with it, and because get it out of your own name. Just make sure you got enough amperage on the breaker boxes for the tenants to carry that all that power. So helpme at DeRosaGroup.com is the email address, guys. That is helpme at DeRosaGroup.com, where you can email your real estate questions, and I'll answer them right here on the YouTube channel for you and everyone else to learn from. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for getting my little engineering wheels cranked up. Looking forward to seeing some comments down below, and have a great profitable week, guys.